Greetings YouTube. I have been racking my brains as to how to try to summarise Series 11 of Doctor Who, or Series 11 of the modern run anyway, because there's been a lot of classic Doctor Who. And it has been kind of like episode 9. It's been a bit of a weird episode. I'm going to try not to use that word too often this time, I promise. Not really, I might use it. But see, right from the very beginning, I liked Jodie Whittaker in the role. The first episode, she literally drops in through the roof, and before she has said her third line, is what I was trying to say. Before she said her third line, I'm right there. Certain doctors, for me, I prefer the doctors that I get on board with right away. People like John Pertwee, Tom Baker, Sylvester McCoy, those kind of people. There's something about them that just makes you think, yes, that's the Doctor. And straight away you get it. And for me, Jodie Whittaker got the behaviour down straight away. The way she talked, the way she acted. Immediately, I thought, yes, that's the Doctor. And for example, I've already said this in episode 1's review, I think, but people like, for example, Matt Smith, it took me half of his first series to get used to him. So I took that as a good sign. And the first episode wasn't too bothered about the plot initially, because I was more bothered about new Doctor, as you are. But obviously, be aware, by the way. I probably should have said this when I started talking. Be aware potential spoilers. I stay away from spoilers in the episode reviews, but this time I'm not so bothered. So spoiler warning, I've said it. So, first episode, dragged a little bit in the middle, but by and large I thought it was a good episode. And they're definitely pushing the ensemble idea, because we haven't really had an ensemble for a while. The last ensemble that I remember is one that Peter Davidson had on board his TARDIS. I'm trying to remember all the character names now. Nissan, Tegan, Nissa. Sorry, Nissa, not Nissan. That's a car. Nissa, Tegan, and I'm useless with names at the best of times. But yeah, having 3 companions on the TARDIS. I know that, for example, David Tennant had a huge number of people on his TARDIS for one particular episode, because apparently the TARDIS is supposed to have 6 people to fly it, which is why he flies it badly. But I liked that, by the way. But no, I mean main characters that are always there. We haven't had an ensemble for a while. And so I like that idea that we're going back to it. But again, I did want Jodie Whittaker to sort of stand out. And we got nods to the classic series from her. I mean, I like her outfit, but for example, the title sequence, the opening titles, the music is very classic with a bit of added percussion, and the Inkbot style visuals. It it's a modern update, but it harkens back to the original program when it used to have that weird, I don't know what effect going across the screen. So I liked that kind of thing. I can't remember which episode it was, episode 2 or 3. She jabs that guy in the neck, and we haven't seen Venusian Aikido, I think, since John Pertwee's era, I think. I won't swear to that, because I haven't seen every single Doctor Who episode, but I've seen a lot of them. Yeah, so there's a lot of classic nods. And I like the fact that they reference that she's acting like a school teacher. They're not kind of like Peter Capaldi in one of those episodes he did. He references the fact that he was going for minimalist with his outfit, but he kind of ended up with magician. I like all that kind of thing. They reference the fact that she's like a school teacher. So I like the way this sets it up. And then, obviously, again, spoiler warning, episode 1, one of the characters on the TARDIS, Graham, his wife dies in the initial episode. Not really because she's killed exactly. It's more sort of an accident. But, well, not really an accident either. It's not deliberate. But regardless, it happens, and that is carried through the remaining episodes throughout the whole series and is continually referenced, unsurprisingly. And by the final episode, it's... I think it's fair to say that by the final episode it's addressed, but I'll get onto that in a minute. So, for most of this series, I say most, for the first 6 episodes of this series, I was kind of starting to wonder if Jodie Whittaker, the Doctor, was actually going to get something to do that makes her stand out from the ensemble. Because it's all very well and good having an ensemble, having 4 people on the TARDIS, but you kind of want the Doctor to stand out or step up, however you want to reference it. You kind of want them to do something, well, that just makes them stand out. Either something amazing or something that the other characters can't do or something like that. And for the first 6 episodes, we really didn't get that. And I was starting to wonder around episode 5 whether we were going to, because there's only 10 episodes in this series. That's literally half the series are gone, and I was starting to wonder. Episode 6 came and went, and she still hadn't done anything, and I was starting to get a bit irritated by it. And finally, episodes 7, 8, 9, 10 came out, and yes, finally she was getting stuff to do that was making her stand out from the crowd, which is what you want. But yeah, it was starting to worry me for a while there. So the episodes themselves, episode 3, Rosa, that was obviously a really heavy episode and a really hard watch. It was very unsubtly dealing with racism, obviously, but this Doctor Who is kind of a kid-friendly program, so they had to tone it down a lot. Which says a lot about the episode, because you could hear all the words that weren't being said, if you catch my drift. And I won't myself, but you know what I mean. Kids are not stupid. I think they'll get it. But it was a hard watch, was that episode. Really heavy, very un-Doctor Who-like, but I didn't mind, because I quite liked the way that it was a heavy episode, but at the same time without saying all those words that were very obviously not being said, you know. I liked that balancing act that it did. That's why I really liked that episode. It did a lot without actually saying a lot. So it was cleverly done, was that. And of course episode 6 was another somewhat heavy one, dealing with I can't remember the name of it now, but I know the name of the episode, Demons of the Punjab, but I can't remember the name of the event that it was known as. I did write it down, but I can't remember it off the top of my head. But again, focusing on a small group of people personalising a nationwide event, and again, heavy topic, and I liked the way it did that. By personalising it, it was a clever way of addressing it. But at the same time, I did start to get a bit concerned that we had a heavy episode with episode 3, and then again with episode 6, and we hadn't had Jodie Whittaker stand out from the crowd at this point, and I was starting to get a bit concerned, because this isn't your usual Doctor Who territory. And yeah, it was beginning to worry and irritate me at the time. And then finally episodes 7, 8, 9 and 10 brought it back on track with what you would think of as conventional Doctor Who. Yeah, this was, and I'm gonna say it, I promise not to say it, but I'm gonna say it, this was a weird series. It was very tonally different. Obviously episode 6 was timed to air on Armistice Day, so that's why that happened, and they presumably wanted to do episode 3 because it addressed the topic of racism. I'm going into a few of the other episodes. Episode 4 and episode 6 actually both were a bit unusual, because they do that thing that Doctor Who sometimes does where there's a threat and then suddenly there isn't. Because episode 4 was the one with the spiders. Less said the better. But the mother spider gets so big she can't breathe, and basically the spiders kind of just stop being a threat without... The team just kind of runs round the place for most of these episodes, just kind of observing, really. Episode 3, Rosa, they specifically don't have to interfere. They have to stop the other guy from interfering, but they don't interfere. They're just observers. Episode 4, again, the threat just kind of is there and then it isn't. Episode 6, again, they're observers only, and the threat of the 2 assassin aliens turn out not to be assassins. They're observers themselves. They observe and recognise the fallen soldiers, which is a nice idea, but again it kind of means that the threat just kind of evaporates on its own. You can see why I was getting concerned by all of this, that in a weird kind of way there was a lot happening, but there wasn't much happening, as it turns out. When all said and done, I've got an itchy nose, sorry. Wow. So yeah, the first 6 episodes were very bizarre because of that. A lot happening, but not much happening. And then finally episode 7 comes round. I say finally because we get back to conventional Doctor Who territory, and we have the factory where the workforce is kind of disposable, and there's the robots mostly manning the place. And yeah, I appreciate what everyone else said. I didn't say it in my review, but yeah, it is very much like the controversy with Amazon and treating its workforce as disposable. At the time, I likened it more to Tom Baker's episode, The Robots of Death, where the mining ship has all the robots on it, skeleton human staff, and the robots rebel because a human is telling them to, and you know, it's very similar to that. And very conventional Doctor Who story. And now I'm using the word conventional too often. I apologise for that. I only promised not to use the word weird. And then we get to... what was episode 8 now? I can't remember off the top of my head. Oh yeah, of course. Bloody hell, how did I forget that? That was the one with the witch hunt trials and James the First. And I know that there were mod-based aliens and the prison and the tree was cut down and all that, but Alan Cumming just stole that episode from everything and everyone. He even has that ridiculous bombastic music to introduce him, and he played it so over the top. It was just glorious to watch. I barely paid any attention to anything else in that episode. That was a ridiculously over the top and glorious performance. And then episode 9, what was that now? Alan Cumming's performance just made me forget what was episode 9 was. What was it? I'm going to have to check. Because I did make notes. Oh yeah. It was the trippy episode in the house out in the middle of nowhere. It made as we got towards the end, it started making me think of Legion in how trippy it was getting. There's an alternate universe that if it comes into contact with ours, it'll destroy them both, and the universe turns out to be a talking frog on a stool, or was it a chair? I can't remember. That went completely off the rails, did that? That was the episode where I was using the W word all the time. See, I avoided using it that time. Wow. Finally, episode 10. And that was another W word one, because suddenly it was out of step with the tone of the rest of the series. The rest of the series have been very intimate. All of its stories, whether heavy or not, had all been focusing on a small group of people. This episode suddenly decided to threaten the whole planet. And the alien from the first episode, who has all the teeth embedded in his face, awesome alien design, by the way. They not so much the alien design from episode 2, the pieces of cloth that attacks them for reasons, but the alien from the first episode suddenly makes a reappearance, and he's got his tech, and he plugs in these two earthbending aliens into his tech, and they gain the ability to crush planets down to the size of like a tennis ball. And it kind of reminded me of the classic Tom Baker episode, The Pirate Planet, where the shouty pirate captain, that guy was awesome, has control of this planet, the hollow planet that goes around crushing other planets and mining them. And yeah, that pirate captain was... that's all I could think about, that guy. He was going, Mr. February! Damn his eyes, where is that nincompoop Mr. February? By the demon... by the tentacle demon of this and that. He was just crazy, was it? It's definitely worth a watch, is that. It's part of the Key to Time series. Yeah, it's right there. But episode 10 made me think of that. And it was suddenly this, instead of being very intimate episode, that suddenly threatening the whole planet, it was very tonally different all of a sudden. It's like they suddenly remembered that this was Doctor Who and they should probably do something bigger. And so they dialed everything up to maximum. That was W word. Yeah, this... for me, this was a very odd series. Odd, yeah, and W word. It was... most of the time it was telling these local, intimate stories with these characters... and there were 2 heavy episodes in there. The episodes 3 and 6. Episodes 4 and 6 had a threat that wasn't a threat, as it turns out. They were observing a lot of the time, not actually doing anything. Jodie Whittaker in particular, not standing out from the crowd until episode 7. I know they've got a new writing team. Maybe it'll just take them some time to adapt to doing the program, or maybe this is how they're going to do it. Maybe because obviously Stephen Moffat had his own ideas about how to do Doctor Who, and to be fair, the more modern run of Doctor Who has been... the original series tended to do individual stories, but there were certain things like the Key to Time series, the E-Space trilogy, what was the other one? Oh yeah, the Trial of a Time Lord. I knew it was something. Those were programs that those were series that had programs and episodes that followed on from one another as a grand story arc. So that's nothing new. But the modern series of Doctor Who has tended to always do that, and this is a shift away from that, which doesn't bother me. Again, it's more like the classic Doctor Who. But yeah, I think they need to remember that it's all very well doing their heavy, meaningful episodes that are designed to be thought-provoking, but it's still Doctor Who and you still need to have the fun episodes. I think this series would probably have worked a lot better if instead of having the 6 heavy / observing episodes, if they had spread those out and had the more traditional Doctor Who episodes 7 to 10, spread out through the series, if they'd mixed them in, I'd have probably thought better of this series. Because I wouldn't have been waiting for most of the series for Jodie Whittaker in particular to do something. Yeah, so it's a mixed bag, is this. There's good episodes here, but the feeling of the series has been very atypical and... I'm going to say it, weird. It's been a weird series as this. I don't know. I don't know why they're not going to do a series next year. Because they're not going to. 2019, they're not doing a series. They're already not doing a Christmas episode. They're going to do a New Year's episode. I'm going to watch that either live or on iPlayer. I don't know what we're doing, but... we'll see what happens there. But they're going to miss out next year and skip ahead to next year. I don't know why that is. I don't know if they're doing it for... I don't know if any of the actors have previous commitments that is preventing them from doing it. I know Jodie Whittaker has a lot of stuff on her IMDb page that she's done, and I have seen absolutely none of it apart from this series of Doctor Who. But I don't know why they're not doing another series next year, but maybe it wouldn't hurt for them to skip a series and just kind of maybe take on board the feedback from everybody. I mean, generally this series is well liked. I think that Jodie Whittaker's performance is well liked among those who actually bothered to watch the series, because I know she was getting some stick, you know, that how dare they put a woman in the TARDIS and, you know, all that crap. I really don't care. All I was caring was, would she nail the role? And in my opinion, yes, she nailed the role. I just wanted her to be given something to do. I put more of my misgivings about the series is more down to the scripts than her. She was great. The scripts were good, great in places, not so much in other. It's a mixed bag, is this series. It is. And if I'm going to be forced to give it a score, you know what? I'm going to give it... I think I'm going to give it a 7. It just about edges a 7. It's a high 6, low 7. It's pulled up by the good elements, like even though they, for example, episodes 3 and 6, I know they won't be to everyone's cup of tea, but I did like them for what they did. And again, I was just waiting for Jodie Whittaker to do something, but she nailed the performance, and towards the back half of the series, they did finally give her something to do, and she, yes, that's more of what I was hoping for early on. I think it does enough for a 7. I'm going to give it a 7. I'm just rambling on randomly now, but yeah, hopefully they'll, if they're going to do this as a pattern in the future, maybe spread the heavy episodes or the not non-episodes, just the episodes where they don't seem to do very much. Spread them out a bit, guys, next time, yeah? And I might think a bit better of the next series. Take some time out and think about the criticisms. Please. Because I really want Jodie Whittaker to really start doing what some of the other doctors have done. Maybe... I don't think that she's the kind of doctor that can really chew the scenery exactly. She's not Tom Baker or that kind of thing. She's more like Peter Davison, in the sense that she's a bit more low-key. But, yeah. I want to see more of her. Fingers crossed. New Year's episode and 2020. We've got to wait. It's a long time to wait for the next series. Okay, I'm just going to stop rabbiting now. What did you guys think of this series? Did you like Jodie Whittaker? Did you like the series? What about, in particular, episodes 3 and 6? They're very tonally different. Did you like how the series was done? Leave the comments down below. What did you think of my video? Am I rambling too bloody much? Am I showing off too much? I don't know. But leave a like or dislike down below. And subscribe and share and all that jazz. And I'd say see you next time, except, as I say, we're not going to get a series next year. See you next time.